Well, Tom, you've brought a little forest with you, and I'm so excited because I think we're going to learn a little bit more about how this tree is coming to be and getting closer to being put back in our forest. So
Sure.
let's take it one seed at a time, okay?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Right. Very exciting because I get to work with such cool stuff. You know, the story of American chestnut is pretty tragic, but
Yes.
I'm pretty happy that I have such a great job. And I get to work outside and I get to work with these beautiful trees and in beautiful places.
Yes.
So I thought I'd bring in these seedlings to sort of illustrate the work that we're doing. You know, the hybrid breeding program, really it's been going on for about 90 years. You know, when folks first started worrying about chestnut blight and trying to do something about it, our organization teams up with a lot of the other organizations out there. So I brought seedlings from the American Chestnut Foundation, and I also brought some seedlings from the Department of Forestry, the Virginia Department of Forestry. I work really closely with them here in Virginia.
So
I brought.
Let's identify truly
Okay.
one to the other.
Yeah, let's do that.
Put our
So
players on the table. Yep.
this seedling that I brought in to show you, this is an American chestnut. So this came from a wild tree out in the woods that we found that was producing seeds. And so you can tell this is an American chestnut tree if you're out in the woods and you want to spot it.
Right.
You can tell it's an American chestnut tree because it has these long, narrow leaves.
Right.
They're kind of canoe-shaped, but it'll have these teeth on it that are sort of big tapered teeth that hook like a breaking wave. They'll be dull on both sides of the leaf.
Right.
They'll have this reddish twig color. And if they're dropping seeds, like these ones, if you see burrs on the ground,
Right.
they're probably chestnut trees. I just thought I'd show you some of these seeds that are American chestnut seeds. You can tell that they're an American chestnut because the seeds are really small. They're kind of tiny like a marble, but they're covered in hairs. This tree, on the other hand, this is a Chinese chestnut.
Different tree, yes.
You probably see these growing all over town, right?
In my neighborhood, yes.
Yeah, they also produce these sharp burrs and they're kind of hard to handle. But the difference between a Chinese chestnut and an American chestnut is the leaf is much more rounded
Right.
than an American chestnut.
I see that.
It's not totally round, but it's a lot more round than an American chestnut. It's sort of flat on the bottom. And a Chinese chestnut will have a glossy leaf on the top,
It is kind of shiny, yes.
and on the bottom, it looks sort of soft and velvety. That's from thousands of little tiny hairs growing on the bottom of the leaf.
Horticulturally, that would be pubescent.
Correct. And so you can tell it's a Chinese chestnut if it has that. Or it might be a Chinese type hybrid.
Right.
So there's a lot of hybrids out there too, but if it's glossy on the top and
Soft
soft on the
underneath.
bottom, it's a Chinese type tree. Now look at the difference between the American chestnut seed here and the
little
Chinese
guys.
seed here. This is what you see in the store, right? A lot of times people will sell chestnuts, and they might say American chestnut, they just mean chestnut.
Right,
Because you can see these are really large,
yes.
very shiny seeds compared to the American chestnut, which is really small.
And my cat plays with the Chinese chestnut. She likes to bat it around the house.
Well, I guess I could see that. If it was me, I would roast them and eat them.
Okay, well, she likes to play with them. Anyway, let's move on. Enough of my kitty.
Okay. Well, I want you to take a look here. I brought some other seedlings and some associated seeds.
Oh, fun.
This is a seedling that is growing at the Lasagne State Forest.
Okay.
This is a first generation backcross. We call it a
Okay.
B1, right? So what we want to do is we want to try to hybridize the American chestnut with the Chinese chestnut. And we want to get the blight resistance of the Chinese chestnut, but we want to get the tree as American as possible, right? So we've been backcrossing these hybrid trees with American chestnuts to improve the amount of American traits. And you can see with this tree right here, this is a hybrid chestnut tree.
Yes,
And you can see if you look at the leaves, it looks
very much
very
like
American,
It
right?
does.
It still has some subtle Chinese traits.
Yes.
You know, we can get out a magnifying glass. If you see if you were looking at the mature tree, you might see a little fuzziness under the leaves, maybe a little glossiness. But for all intents and purposes, this tree is very American. But this tree has great blight resistance.
Oh.
It got the genes for blight resistance from the Chinese chestnut tree. But here, take a look at these seeds. From the same B1 tree, you can see that they're a little different from those Chinese.
getting smaller.
Not quite American yet.
Yeah, not
Still
quite.
pretty small. It's still smaller than the Chinese, but that's not going to work if we're trying to restore a tree that's going to serve wildlife, right?
No,
we
it's
need
not.
to get them to be more like an American chestnut tree.
So you're going to go back again.
Well, let me show you another tree that I have in here. So here's a seedling. And this seedling looks a lot more American.
That looks very much American.
Yeah, you can tell by looking at those teeth. It's dull on the top, it's dull on the bottom.
Right.
It's not glossy, it's not hairy.
Not
It's
at
got
all.
those big sharp teeth hooked like a breaking wave.
Nice and long leaves too.
Look at the seeds from this tree.
We're getting closer.
Indistinguishable from American chestnut.
Absolutely.
You know what the one problem is?
Tell me.
This tree doesn't have very good blight resistance.
Oh no, so
Yeah.
close, but so far.
We got the American part right.
All right, now
But
we
this
got
tree isn't so good. You know, the problem is that blight resistance is really complicated, and hybridizing the trees, we can get the genes from the Chinese, but as you go through generation to generation, you lose some of that resistance because there's a lot of genes involved.
I can imagine. I can
You end up
imagine.
having to plant thousands of trees just to get a couple that are actually blight resistant.
I was wondering what the numbers were. Thank you.
It takes a lot.
So we have
Well-
the traits of the American, but now we've got to get the blight resistance.
So let me show you another tree. This is a tree from one of our orchards up in Maryland. So this tree is also very American.
Yes.
We were really successful in the breeding program on this tree in that we got the tree to look very American. But the great thing about this tree, it's one of the ones in our program that won the lottery of blight resistance. This tree has fantastic resistance. This tree has been battling blight for well over 5 years, and the cankers are
Fantastic.
completely healed up. They're calloused, and you've got these big calluses on them.
Right.
But keep in mind, one of the parents of this tree was a pure American.
That's fantastic.
So all the resistance came from the dad.
Yep.
And a tree that has this much resistance tells me that if we cross this tree with another tree in our program from another orchard, we take the trees that have the best resistance and the most American traits, and we cross them together. That's where we're at with our breeding program. And you can see, here's the seeds from this tree.
That's
We
phenomenal.
got the American part right.
You did.
We got the blight resistant part right. We cross them. We take the seedlings and we pot them up in seeds like this. And this summer, we're going to inoculate these trees all with some blight, test them for the resistance. The best ones go into an orchard where we grow them up. And over the next 10 years, we study them. We screen them again. We keep looking at their blight resistance. Anything that shows susceptibility, we call out of the program.
That's
and
amazing.
anything that looks really good and has great resistance, they're the ones we keep.
And we just keep going, huh?
When we harvest the seeds from those trees, we can start putting the chestnut back into the forest.
That is exciting, Tom. And I think there's so many people there who are out in, I'll say, in the horticulture world that would love to be able to be a part of this program when that time comes. So to put them back into the forest. So
We'd
I
love their
thank
help.
you.
So
Yes. Oh, this is exciting. I'm getting the goosebumps. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain this process and the amount of time it's taken and the trees involved. Congratulations. Let's
Thank
hope it
you.
works.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.